republic that it establishes, and I will devote myself to preserving it. Thank you.
Concludes the swearing in now of what is the 103rd Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, the Honorable Amy Coney Barrett, with, of course, Clarence Thomas, the longest-serving justice now on the court, administering the oath. There will be a private ceremony tomorrow. The Chief Justice Roberts will administer. And, by the way, that'll happen in the East Conference Room of the Supreme Court. Upon the administration of that oath, she will begin to participate in the work of the court. Justice now Barrett went out of her way to point out the differences that between the Senate and the executive branch of government, the legislative branch and the judiciary branch, and how the Senate, for example, would be it would be a dereliction of duty if they don't pursue policy preferences. That is not the duty of a judge. She went out of her way to confirm that which she said during the confirmation hearings about she will not allow private beliefs or pressure from either the executive or legislative branch of government to interfere with her decision making. And she pointed out, although not elected as judge, but it's an appointment, that she still works for we, the people, without fear or favor. We got a final comment from Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. Senator, pretty powerful reinforcement of what she had said during the hearing.
She gave the most articulate statement of what a conservative justice is all about. Liberals have the absolute opposite view. They think judges should accomplish policy preferences that fail at the ballot box. It's a great night for conservatism. I haven't slept in 2 weeks. I've been fearful of a Kavanaugh moment when it came to her. The highlight of my time in the Senate is to shepherd her through the Senate and help Mitch McConnell, the president, get her confirmed. This is why I do what I do. To my Senate Judiciary Republicans, thank you. But I've been living in fear, and it is now over. She is on the court.
Amen.
Mission accomplished. The left is going nuts tonight. We're in a fight for our life. Help me, help all of us keep our seats so we can do this 4 more years. LindseyGraham.com.
All right, Senator, thank you. 29 times in election years, there have been openings on the U.S. Supreme Court. All 29 times, presidents have nominated justices. Thank you, Lindsey, for being with us.
Thank you, Lindsey Graham.
In the making, Judge Amy Coney Barrett
Support Lindsey.
As the
Support Lindsey Graham.
Court Justice. The originalist
Pray
judge
for
will now
him and
be the 3rd Trump appointee to serve on the court. And tonight we are only 8 days away from what is the biggest tipping point election in history. Buckle up. This is just the beginning of what will be a very pivotal week. The president hitting the campaign trail harder than ever before. Earlier today, he held 3 massive rallies. Tomorrow, he will be in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. From now until the election, President Trump will be working around the clock, crisscrossing the nation, multiple rallies daily in all of the important states at this point, what we call swing states. And keep in mind, that is on top of his regular duties as commander-in-chief. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he's probably asleep right now, probably taking his, well, later afternoon nap that goes into the late evening. He looked absolutely pathetic earlier today, 0 energy. You have to give him a little bit of credit today, though. Got to give credit where it's due. He managed to travel 5 miles across the Delaware border for a minuscule event in Chester, Pennsylvania. And to his credit, Joe Biden, well, very weak and frail, answered 3 whole questions from his adoring fans and the media mob. We are 8 days away. You are the ultimate jury. Justice Barrett talking about we the people. Well, you the people, we the people, this is your election. And it's a big story when Joe Biden actually leaves his basement bunker. Yesterday, another day in hiding. Last week, he barely went outside at all, taking 4 days off to prepare for the final presidential debate. And on Sunday, he held one virtual event from the comfort of, yes, his basement bunker. Sadly, it was one more than he could handle. At one point, Joe didn't quite even remember who he was running against, seemingly confusing President Trump, I don't know, with either George Bush, George Washington, I don't know, George Lopez. You decide.
There's a lot on the ballot this year. I mean, this is the most consequential, not because I'm running, but because who I'm running against. This is the most consequential election in a long, long, long time. And the character of the country, in my view, is literally on the ballot. What kind of country we're going to be. 4 more years of George, he's going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
Wow.
Joe, come on, man. You're running against Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Notice his wife, Jill, sitting there kind of in agony, trying to whisper Trump's name under her breath. Let's be clear. There's no great mystery as to why Joe Biden is barely campaigning at all. He is not, well, he seems weak and frail, not mentally or seemingly physically capable of the rigorous schedule as a candidate, never mind the hardest job in the world. He needed 5 out of 6 days off just to be able to do one 90-minute debate. At times, he forgets what state he's in. He definitely mixes up all numbers and dates all over the place, days of the week, forgets whether he's running for the Senate or president, and his irritability is off the charts. On Saturday, while screaming into a microphone, Joe Biden repeatedly called Trump supporters chumps. I guess this is his irredeemable, deplorable latest moment. Take a look.
By the way, we don't do things like those chumps out there with a microphone are doing, the Trump guys. It's about decency. Look, we've got to come together. I'll work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do, including those chumps with the microphone out there. Look. That's the job of a president.
I'll bring all those people together, even those chumps back there. All right, we're all irredeemable, deplorable chumps, smelling Walmart shopping chumps, clinging to our God's Second Amendment, Bibles and religion chumps. But don't worry, Joe wants you to know he's still going to work for you, unless, of course, you work in the oil and gas industry, the energy industry. Repeatedly vowing to get rid of fracking if elected. At the debate, took it a step further, promised to phase out the fossil fuel industry altogether. That is millions of high-paying career jobs for Americans, which, by the way, also means we're less inclined to have to get into foreign conflicts and wars over the battle of the free flow of oil at market prices. So when Biden attempts to do damage control and pretends that he doesn't really want to destroy the oil and gas industry, we know he's lying. Take a look yourself.
I have never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on. Put it on the website.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel. No more, no new fracking.
No fracking, eliminate it, no fossil fuels. Let's just state the obvious. Joe Biden is lying, and like many career politicians, he's been in the swamp for 47 years. Lying is pretty much just a way of life for Joe Biden. Lied about his academic record, lied about marching in the civil rights movement, lied about getting arrested in South Africa, lied about NAACP endorsements, lied about attending a historically black college, lied about you get to keep your doctor, keep your plan, and pay less, lied about the president's travel ban, which he did call xenophobic, into late March, lied about his own involvement in his son's pay-for-play schemes. You just saw him lying about fracking, which brings us to yet another major lie pointed out by even Bolshevik Bernie Sanders, his new BFF. Take a look.
Have you been on the floor of the Senate? You were in the Senate for a few years.
Yeah.
Time and time again talking about the necessity, with pride, about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs.
No.
You never said that.
No.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government.
He's been running ads saying Trump will do this. No, he's the one that's been trying it for 40 years, trying to cut Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits. Who knows? What we do know is now he's partnered with Bolshevik Bernie, because Bolshevik Bernie is now his economic czar, and he plagiarized most of his plan. We know the radical AOC and her Green New Deal. She'll be the new Green Deal czar. Bozo, Beto, damn right we'll take your guns. Well, he's the gun czar, and Kamala Harris, his VP, is more left than Bernie Sanders, the most left-wing senator in Washington. We'll have more on her in a second. In the case of Biden, he seems to be heavily influenced by everybody around him. He's caved into the hardcore left. Don't forget his history on race also. In the 1970s, he worked hand in hand with segregationists to slow the integration of schools. He tried to stop it. He called the former Ku Klux Klan member, the guy that filibustered the Civil Rights Act and was against the Voting Rights Act, Robert Byrd, one of his friends or mentors, and joined with him again to stop the integration of schools. In the 90s, he referred to thousands of inner-city minorities as predators on our streets. He co-sponsored a crime bill that was responsible for the mass incarceration of African Americans and minorities. Flash forward to 2020, now Joe's totally surrounded by radical far-left socialists, including his running mate Kamala Harris. Over the weekend, Senator Harris was asked about her socialist agenda, and she erupted into what I would only describe as nervous laughing fits. Take a look.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
yeah, well, actually, the nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator. You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all. You supported legalizing marijuana. Joe Biden doesn't support those things. So are you going to bring the policies, those progressive policies that you supported as senator, into a Biden administration?
Not sure what's so funny, Kamala Harris, but destroying America's economy, trillions of dollars on the Green New Deal, everything is free, promises that'll never be fulfilled, massive tax increases under a Harris-Biden administration, government confiscation of wealth and property. Is that funny? And of course, we're still waiting for a reporter to address several big and important issues now and topics with the senator, like the time that Harris said she believed the sexual misconduct allegations against Joe Biden, or the time she publicly humiliated Biden on the Democratic debate stage over his praise of segregationists, saying she wouldn't be a senator if they had their way. She brought up the issue of integration of schools and busings, and Harris was the one that said, I was one of those little girls on those buses. Was it all an act, or is Joe Biden the racist, as she previously suggested? Does Harris still support? She was the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. That's the bill that she literally had her signature on. Does she still want to ban plastic straws? Does she have anything to say about the treatment of Justice Kavanaugh, the way she treated him, or executive action to eliminate gun rights in this country, or the blatant disregard for the presumption of innocence in the Kavanaugh case? Does she still want to confiscate guns through executive order tonight? Make sure you take a long, hard look at Kamala Harris's beliefs and agenda. Because one way or another, if elected, she will be the driving force behind the most radical administration in American history. Nothing off the table, as Schumer says. Court packing, statehood for D.C., elsewhere. Ending the legislative filibuster, banishing the Electoral College. Is that next? They'll do anything for power and perpetuity. And once they get it, America, as we know it, if their stated policies are implemented, becomes unrecognizable. Here with reaction, author of the new book, Trump and the American Future, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. I've known you since 1990. It's a long time. How you stay friends with me is a mystery in and of itself. We've been through an election or two together. How do you assess this one? And how do you, I've never seen a more radical ticket, and I've never seen a candidate that hides in the basement like this candidate.
Well, let me say, first of all, what an honor was to have been able to participate by television with Justice Barrett being confirmed by the Senate. I thought her speech was frankly the base for an entire college course on the Constitution and the separation of powers, and I think she will be, for 3 or 4 decades, a dominant force on the court because of her intellect and her personality. So now this is a great evening for conservatism and a great evening for America. I have to say, Bob Walker, who you know, former congressman from Lancaster, called me and said there's this video on channel WGAL in Lancaster of Biden standing in the street today talking to a couple of people, and behind him on camera you see people going in and out of this store, and they're not paying any attention at all. He doesn't exist. They have no idea who he is. And I think that captures the great threat to the Biden campaign. This was a campaign which thought, as long as people hate Trump enough, we'll win, so we can hide. But the problem is, there's almost nobody who's for Joe Biden. And I think that's really, from their perspective, extraordinarily dangerous, because there's no pressure. You know, if you're sitting out there thinking, do I really want to go and stand in line for an hour for Joe Biden? Probably not. On the other hand, if you're for Trump, you'll stand in line for a day or 2 days or 3 days. People stand in line for a day just to get into a rally. And I think that imbalance, I've seen polls today, for example, in Pennsylvania up 3, in Arizona up 3, in North Carolina up 2. Tillis is now ahead in North Carolina. I'm seeing things begin to move, and part of it is a theory that some people told me many years ago, that when you get in the last week or two, it's a little bit like buying a car or buying a house. You can look at lots of ads when you're not really getting ready, but when it's time to get ready, you suddenly shrink to what's possible and what's practical. And that's why conservatives, as a general rule, tend to gain ground very rapidly in the last month of a campaign, because suddenly people look up and go, I don't want Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a San Francisco radical. I don't want her. And poor Joe Biden, he can't remember who he's running against. I mean, if somebody comes out and calls Donald J. Trump George twice, you have to really wonder, because it's not like it's a one-time thing. We have routinely seen that Vice President Biden is no longer capable of dealing with complicated ideas without a teleprompter. I don't see how you elect a person like that president.
I don't want to put too much stock in the polls.
Well, that's what I'm going to cover tonight, folks. Traveling with John Stevenson here. And former superintendent of education, Commonwealth of Kentucky. I hope we all get out and vote for Donald Trump and Mike Pence and Senator Mitch McConnell and Congressman Thomas Massey and all other conservative constitutionalists, and for those who are for godly principles. Praise the Lord.
States are tight, and I look at that. Then comes the hard part. I saw in the Insider